different things like that, like things you would never think of, crazy stuff. We said yes a lot to.
65, Richie Sambora is no longer biting his tongue. Through decades of brotherhood, chart-topping hits, and worldwide tours, the man who once stood side by side with Jon Bon Jovi is finally speaking out. His sudden silence back in 2013 was mysterious, but his reappearance in 2024? That shook the entire rock world. What he's revealed now makes one thing painfully clear. This wasn't just a creative split. It was something deeper. Something personal. For years, fans assumed it was just rock star burnout or personal issues. But as Sambora opens up, we're learning the truth was far more complicated. Behind the scenes, while Bon Jovi dominated arenas and airwaves, cracks were forming. The brotherhood was starting to crumble, and Richie? He was quietly suffocating. Not with screams or scandals, but with silence, decisions made without him, and a growing feeling that he no longer belonged in the band he helped build. And now, after over a decade of mystery, Richie's voice cuts through that silence. In interviews from 2024, he exposes the emotional toll, the creative frustration, and the heartbreaking moment he realized he had been replaced, without so much as a phone call. This is no ordinary rock star tale. It's a story of friendship strained by fame, loyalty undone by silence, and a man who chose family and self-worth over the biggest stage in the world. Before the stadiums, before the platinum records, Richie Sambora and Jon Bon Jovi were just two gritty Jersey kids with big dreams and busted amps. They came from working-class towns, Woodbridge and Sayreville, cutting their teeth in tiny clubs and VFW halls, driven by raw ambition and a love for soulful, honest rock. It wasn't just about the music. It was about the brotherhood they built in smoke-filled basements and backstage corridors, long before fame even knocked. When Sambora joined Bon Jovi in 1983, everything changed. His emotionally charged guitar style and natural chemistry with Jon helped create a sound that was bigger than either of them. The stadium anthems like Livin' on a Prayer and Wanted Dead or Alive weren't just hits, they were moments. Richie's talkbox solo became iconic, and his harmonies gave the songs their unmistakable lift. He wasn't in the background. He was half the heartbeat of Bon Jovi. Stage, the connection seemed just as strong. Tour buses turned into therapy sessions, hotel hallways into jam sessions, and Richie became the guy Jon leaned on when the pressure of stardom started to weigh heavy. But even in those early golden years, a quiet hierarchy began to form. Jon was pushed into the spotlight as the face of the band, while Richie, despite co-writing hits and shaping the sound, often stood just outside the glow. It was subtle, but it would grow into something far more corrosive. As Bon Jovi climbed higher, the internal balance slowly tilted. Jon Bon Jovi became the face, the voice, the brand, while Richie Sambora, once an equal creative force, found himself fading into the background. What was once a collaboration started to feel like a dictatorship. Richie still showed up, writing, recording, performing, but something was different. His influence was shrinking, and his input felt increasingly dismissed. He was no longer building the band, he was just supporting it. This quiet unraveling took place behind closed doors, masked by screaming fans and flawless performances. But backstage, Richie was struggling. Personal battles with addiction, the emotional toll of his divorce, and a relentless schedule left him drained. He sought support, but the environment offered none. Camaraderie was gone, replaced by business meetings, branding decisions, and cold rehearsals. Sambora started to feel like a ghost in his own band, present but unheard. He described it later as being outnumbered and emotionally sidelined. The silence hurt more than any headline ever could. While fans saw a united front, Richie felt the bond cracking under the weight of fame and control. No screaming arguments, no public explosions, just the slow, quiet corrosion of trust. The music never missed a beat, but their friendship was slowly fading out. And Richie? He was already emotionally gone, long before he ever walked off that stage. In April 2013, fans were blindsided. Just hours before a Bon Jovi concert in Calgary, news broke that Richie Sambora wouldn't be performing. The official statement? Personal reasons. No details. No timeline. The silence was deafening and confusing. Richie, one of the band's most beloved figures, was suddenly gone. First, many believed it was temporary. Maybe an illness. Maybe a family emergency. But weeks passed. Then months. And still nothing. Behind the scenes, Richie was unraveling. Years of touring without pause, being creatively sidelined, and feeling like a forgotten partner had taken their toll. He later admitted he felt like the band became a business, not a brotherhood. Worse still, Richie didn't even learn about his replacement, Phil X, from the band. He found out online. "It was like I disappeared," he said. And nobody even called. That moment hit harder than any criticism, being erased without a word after decades of loyalty. For Richie, the exit wasn't some grand meltdown. It was quiet, painful, necessary. He cited his daughter Ava as one of the biggest reasons. He wanted to be present in her life, something the band's relentless pace didn't allow. While fans were shocked, Richie was simply trying to survive. It wasn't rebellion. It was preservation. And though he left without a goodbye, his absence spoke volumes. He wasn't just missing from the stage. He had been missing from the band long before he walked away. More than 10 years after his silent exit, Richie Sambora finally broke the long-standing quiet in 2024. In heartfelt interviews with Yahoo and the New York Post, he addressed what fans had been wondering for years. Why did he really leave? And why without a word? Richie didn't dodge it, he owned it. "I just disappeared, man. I ghosted," he said. For the first time, he admitted he should have handled it differently. "I probably should have talked to Jon. I should have explained it better." But his reasons weren't selfish or impulsive. They were emotional. Years of feeling unheard, creatively stifled, and personally depleted had finally worn him down. Sambora confessed that it wasn't one dramatic fight, it was the slow erosion of purpose and identity. He didn't feel like a partner anymore. He felt like a hired gun in a band he helped build. And when the emotional toll became unbearable, walking away wasn't just an escape, it was his only way to stay sane. Jon Bon Jovi, for his part, responded with quiet respect. He appreciated the apology but made it clear there would be no reunion. "We had our run," he told the Sunday Times. No anger. Just acceptance. Both men have moved on, Jon with new music, Richie with a life focused on family and self-reflection. Fans still dream of that magical onstage reunion, but reality tells a different story. What they built was beautiful, but it was also complete. Closure doesn't always come with a curtain call. Richie Sambora may have stepped out of the spotlight, but he never stepped away from his legacy. His guitar work, songwriting, and raw emotion helped shape Bon Jovi into a global powerhouse. Fans still hear his soul in every soaring chorus and iconic riff. And while his departure stunned the world, Richie never regretted choosing family and mental peace over the grind of fame. "I can play guitar forever, but I only get one chance to be her dad," he once said, speaking of his daughter Ava. Since leaving, Richie has redefined success on his own terms. No more stadium tours or relentless promo cycles, just music when it feels right and life on his own rhythm. He's proud of the career he built, but even prouder of the father he became. His story isn't one of abandonment, it's one of survival, reinvention, and choosing substance over spotlight. The man who once lit up arenas now finds joy in quieter moments, proving that real strength lies in walking away when something no longer feels like home. And still, his presence lingers. Richie Sambora isn't just a footnote in Bon Jovi's history. He's its emotional core. While reunions may remain a fantasy, his legacy is already etched into every note, every lyric, every memory. He didn't burn bridges. He simply took a different road. One with fewer lights but far more meaning. He may have ghosted, but he'll never be forgotten.